人咧就做咗呢行咧有15年噶啦，咁啊佢係 specialize in social housing 啦，your typical buy to lets，and 有8年 specializing in just HMO itself。HMO 咧，佢就 obviously 可能覺得佢係最 expert 喺呢個 area，because 佢可能 you enjoy doing HMO, don't you, yeah, Karen, yeah, because it's more challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you think like the buy-to-lets are boring.
No.
Uh,
It's certainly interesting.
yeah, but as everyday work going ahead, like coming to the office, you know you've got a challenge with the HMO rather than like I'm not like buy to let is good, yeah, you do get your problems as well, but HMO it gives you sort of like the spicy kind of like
Yeah.
challenges, yeah.
Yes.
OK，咁除咗Karen 即係有15年經驗喺度啦，佢係都有qualification such as ALA qualified property mark qualified as well，which 呢個係我哋英國個regulation body 啦，so 即係佢考咗個牌，佢有 level three management，咁就變咗佢如果佢即係佢喺呢個 group chat 嗰度嘅，我啲 forum 喺度，咁有咩新條例啊，政府推出嚟啊，she would know 6 months beforehand. So she is very up to date with the law, which you need to know because of the renters' right?
Yes.
Karen. So I've just explained a little bit who you are, and so you're Karen, and you worked in this industry for 15 years. You still loving it?
I do, yes, I do. It certainly keeps me on my toes, and there's always something interesting every day. But yeah, I do. I love it.
Sure. Okay. So today we want to talk a little bit about the renters' right, and obviously some case scenario, which we'll be inviting you more onto our Zoom seminar because I really believe the investors should know what kind of hurdles or problems they are going to come across when buying houses. Okay, so all right, so let's start here with the renters' right. I think the biggest question is, has the tenant got more power now? Are landlords going to see more rent arrears? Are tenants going to be taking the advantage of this law? So let's talk about rent arrears.
Yeah, so with the abolition of Section 21, a lot of tenants are feeling quite confident, which is great. We want the tenants to feel happy. However, you do get tenants who are quite tricky and who will certainly try and take things and have an advantage over landlords, which in the past they may feel like they've not had. There's always been a concern about rent arrears and landlords gaining possession of their property. And with Section 21 going, the main question I get is how are landlords going to get their property back if there are arrears? One of my main goals with property management is to ensure my landlords are happy and they understand what it is I can do. So should we be getting any rent arrears, we can still claim on the mandatory ground 8 if the arrears are over 8 months, over 2 months. And then we also have ground 10, which is discretionary regardless of the arrears, and ground 11, which is a persistent history of rent payments.
Sure. Well, okay, so rent arrears and all these laws coming in. So Section 8 is going to be more powerful now, right? And then obviously you got your Section 10 and Section 11. So on that note，咁我可以即係解釋俾下大家聽啦，即係其實你唔使太擔心。呢個 renters right 我都上咗好多 conference 同埋即係好似 seminar。The conclusion is renters right is coming in is to literally get rid of all the crap, pardon my French, crap landlords. So if you're doing the stuff right already, following the rules, you don't have to be scared.
Not at all. No. And if you've got a good agent with you,
Yeah.
back you like us at EPI, you can have that confidence that we'll be able to look after you. We'll be able to show you what we're doing. We'll be able to be in touch with you to give you answer any questions that you've got.
Yeah. And another reason why the government is pushing out renters' right is because we always say we have not got enough house to house the social housing sector. So now the government is turning to the private sector, which is us, you guys, renting your houses out for the social sector. So that's why you see a lot of HAs now, housing association, or just government giving housing benefits, more grant to vulnerable people. So that's again for investment wise in the UK, there's a supply and demand problem, and we have not got enough houses. So UK is probably still one of the number one spot to invest in the world for property investment. Yeah. So so we covered renters right here, the reform bill. So don't worry, Section 21 gone, but Section 8 is more powerful now. So Karen, so let's talk about the Section like 8. What is the process? Like, how long do they need to owe you money until you can activate that?
Right. There are some rule changes. Tenants need to have 2 months worth of arrears before we can look to evict. There are some grounds where they're saying now it's going to be 3 months worth of arrears, but we really need to make sure we're monitoring each tenancy. There is the case where we are confident that some tenants will build up arrears, start eviction procedures, and then pay their money down quickly. That's to be tricky. We're aware that this is going to happen. So if a tenant does that, they can build the arrears, then they pay them off just as they're about to be evicted. We can rely on the different grounds that I discussed before, which is the persistent late payments, to still build a case for them to get evicted.
Okay, so I remember an example once then, Karen. Let me ask you. So even let's say my monthly rent is £500, but I give you £50 per month. I'm still technically paying part of my rent now. Can I play that game now?
You can still play that game.
Yeah.
However, it's going to be frowned upon even more. So if it is a persistent late payments, persistent payments that aren't meeting the required amount, we can still claim for possession as long as the agent has built up a case.
So as long as we have a digital footprint and we build up a file that this person, yes, they do pay a little bit of rent every month, but not the full lot, but it's still a case to kick them out.
There is, yeah.
Right.
And as long as we're offering them support, asking them why, being in contact with them, and they're persistently not responding or not sticking to any agreements, when this does go to court, the judge can assess what we've done and make the decision whether to give us possession or to say he's going to put in a repayment plan and the tenant has to stick with it.
So this is where we've got like our paper trail, a clear day-to-day breakdown of the charges, payment, evidence of engagement. I'm not saying a private landlord can't do this themselves, but obviously we have our system we pay thousands of pounds in the company for systems to track down these kind of, every time an email is sent or telephone is made, our CRM system or our telephone system will log it, right?
Yeah.
So again, why use a letting agents is because of stuff like this. Because if you go to court and you don't have what we call a paper trail, I know myself, I'm very messy, I'm very unorganized, but without the system, I won't have all this filed up. So just get a good, it doesn't have to be us, but like renters' rights coming, you need to know the law. And it's always good to have an agent on your side that will have track records of missed payments, maintenance issues, any issues with the property. As long as it's like marked down, logged, then we shouldn't have a problem in kicking the tenant out, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's certainly something that we can help with, yeah.
Yeah, sure. And how long would a Section 8 normally take, Karen? So obviously we need to wait for them to, so not just Section 8, so like we've had enough, all right, you keep only paying half of your rent every month. How long do we need to wait until we can file something up?
Okay, so it's dependent on the arrears and dependent on the tenant's behaviour. So should the tenant be persistently late, we can serve notice on them. If they've become into arrears 3 times over the past 12 months, we can also serve notice on them. And this is notice to seek possession to evict them. And we can also give them this notice, and it takes 2 weeks for them to either leave the property or pay the arrears. After that point, we're able to go to court to make a claim to possess the property. That can take up to 16 weeks. However, it just depends on how busy the local court is.
Sure. So there's many ways to kick your tenant out, but you just need to know the law.
Yeah.
Okay. So so we talked about rent arrears, Section 8, 10, and 11, and it doesn't just have to be they don't pay rent for the whole rent. It's like if they miss part rents as well, and you've had enough of them, you can still kick them out. Let's move on to antisocial behaviour. Round 14. Do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah. So with Section 21 going, this has been used in the past by landlords who have had disagreements with their tenants. They don't like their behaviour, so they've been able to serve a Section 21. That's now gone. Should a tenant be misbehaving? Should they cause noise nuisance, have dirty house, leave lots of rubbish everywhere, cause lots of disruptive behaviour to the neighbours? We can claim grounds for possession with antisocial behaviour on ground 14. This has to be an evidence-based one, and it will always be evidence-based when you have us as your agent.
So when we do inspections, inventory, so just being untidy is an antisocial behavior. I thought antisocial behavior is fighting, shouting.
Yeah, it
is.
Yeah. It is fighting and shouting. But if you are persistently having a messy property, persistently leaving rubbish in your garden that's attracting pests, that can also be grounds for possession. There is a lot more stronger grounds for landlords to gain possession of their property should a tenant misbehave.
Okay, so a question from one of the customers, yeah, and I want to know as well. So basically, the garden, is that the tenant's responsibility to tidy and keep up to standard?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. It's the tenant's responsibility.
But I thought because it was outside a house, it's not like, or
Yeah.
it's part of the house.
It's part of the household, it's part of the property, so it is a tenant's responsibility to maintain. I would always recommend letting the property with the garden in a good, clean condition, and also engaging with the tenant throughout the tenancy, but it is a tenant's responsibility to keep it clean.
Sure, yeah, okay. So 大家聽到啦， so basically 個花園都係個tenants 嗰個 responsibility, right? Cool. Okay, so anti-behavior, we've got like HMO criteria as well here, independent evidence. Do you want to go through that?
Yeah, so with HMOs, houses of multiple occupancy, this is usually a group of young people living together in their own rooms in one home. Should one tenant be causing bad behavior, smoking, maybe taking drugs, loud noise at night, it can impact the other tenants. They will want to leave. This will then impact the landlord's finances and obviously create lots of work. Should a tenant in a HMO property cause antisocial behavior, we do have this ground 14 to use, which is it's very strict. It'll make sure that we can then gain possession of the property quickly to allow the other housemates to live in a comfortable position and then get rid of the tenant that's causing the issues.
I take it you use ground 14 quite a lot, right?
I've used ground 14 before. Yeah. I have an example. We did have a tenant causing antisocial behavior. He smoked cannabis, and he used to play his music decks late at night. And tenants were leaving.
Was he a DJ?
He was a DJ, yes, yeah. He had quite an active nightlife, and I got witness statements from the tenants that left and the tenants that did remain to say they left because of him or they were looking to leave because of him. Then we presented this to court to say we would like possession back of the room because of this behaviour, and we did get it granted, and we were able to get him moved out quickly.
Thank you. Just let someone else in. Okay, so well, this Section 14, well, that was anti-social behavior, but then we did touch on the tidiness, how they look after the properties. Well, with Section, ground 12 and 13 now is actually the property condition.
Yeah.
So talk away.
Yeah, this is a really important one as well, and it's been brought in and giving more strength with the Renters Reform Act. So we do regular inspections at EPIs. We go and check the property, make sure all repairs are reported, make sure tenants know who we are, and we look at how tenants are maintaining their property in the garden. Should there be continuous deterioration? Should there be repairs that aren't reported? Should there be tenant damage, which does happen sometimes? We can use grounds 12 and 13 to seek possession, to give warnings, to give court warnings, to change tenants' behaviour. We do things like take before or after pictures. We evidence our contact with the tenants. And it is really building a case up, each individual case, to try and seek possession should a tenant not adhere to their tenancy conditions.
Sure. So this is just technically keeping the property into the standard we gave you. If you start using it as like a, I don't know, like a hotel or like a party house, then we've got the rights to look, we feel like you're causing us greater harm or like maintenance issues, we can kick you out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right, so that's where ground 13 and 12. So physical deterioration of the property, so obviously not looking after it, and general breach of the tenancy terms. Could that be subletting it out to someone else as well?
Yeah, subletting it out without permission, bringing pets in, that could be another one. In shared houses, we don't like pets, and we don't have to have pets in shared houses.
That's a very good question there, Karen. So talking about pets, so I understand the renters' right. They are not allowed to discriminate. You're not allowed to say no to pets. So that was a bit of a debate there between you here.
Yeah. So in a standard let, should a tenant want to move and they have pets with them or bring a pet in once they've moved, a landlord can't reasonably refuse that or discriminate against them because they have pets. However, in shared accommodation, having pets is a different game altogether. People may have allergies, people may not like different animals. And you have to understand that in a HMO, especially, having a dog be confined to one room isn't ideal. So we are allowed to say no to pets with shared accommodation. You are also allowed to say no to pets in standard lets, like the majority of our EPI letting landlords have, but we just have to give a reasonable reason why we want to say no.
Right, okay. Well, thank you for that, yeah, Karen. So obviously, there are that's the thing. The landlords still have a lot of power, but the news is telling us that the renters' right is giving less power to the landlord, which is scaring a lot of landlords to sell up now.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a myth then in the news.
Yeah, I think
a bit of a lie.
It is a little bit, and I think it's the way for the government to promote themselves, to say, look at all the great things that we've done to support our voters.
Yeah.
However, there has been some. If you read the act and you actually look at it, it's not as strong as they're then saying. It still gives the landlord a lot of control and power, as ultimately it is their asset. And as long as you have agents or you're reading it correctly and you've got evidence, you still have a lot of leeway to get possession of your property.
Yeah. So guys, don't be scared. It's the news is not fake news. They are bringing the law into play, but if you're doing the correct thing already, and you know the law, and you've got a good team behind you, what's there to be scared of? Okay, so why landlord lose and how to win from rent arrears. So ultimate procession strategy, building a bullet. So I think we've gone like
touched on this.
Just as long as we log it, get all the detail, which is our job, and then you've got a case to kick your. So because of Section 21 is gone, it doesn't mean you can't kick them out. And you just need to build up a strong case, okay, on this one. And then the fundamental breakdowns of your other anti-social behavior, the condition of the house. So, right, so from the renters' right bit, we're going to talk a bit more about it in the next couple of weeks, and Karen's going to join us a little bit more. Today, for this bit, here's the practical takeaway: is landlords rarely lose because of the law.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
absolutely. Yeah. It is. Landlords lose because of poor evidence. So if we can't provide the evidence for you, or if it's not being collected and going to court, it's not based on feelings, it's based on evidence. And that's the main thing. If you're able to provide the evidence as to the reasons why you want possession, it should go into the favour of the landlords.
Sure. And then landlord lose because of poor evidence. You just covered that there. Documentation is the difference between an empty property and a failed hearing.
Yeah.
So again, if we're prepared, Karen and her team will represent you in court anyway. They knows the ins and outs, the story of what happened from the first day they stopped paying you rent to maybe they give us some kind of story. Oh, I'm sick. I'm kind of out of work. You've heard it all before, yeah?
I have. I've heard it all before, and I'm able to signpost to support services.
Yeah.
I'm able to advise tenants on how to get the most income if they're out of work, and I'm able to advise tenants with payment plans. However, if it's a consistent non-payment, if it's a consistent ignoring tenancy conditions such as you need to pay your rent, we can support landlords into gaining possession back of their property.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the seat now, yeah, Karen. Out of your 15 years, how many cases have you lost, like, because of inadequate data collector?
Yeah. How many? I'll be honest, one, and it was my first one, and because I didn't have the right evidence.
And please tell me that's 15 years ago.
It's a long time ago, and I got it wrong, and I realized where I got it wrong.
Yep.
And I've never done it again, and I've won every single case since then. So,
yeah.
And I have every case that's gone to court, bar that first one, I have gained possession.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Right, so guys, that's the renters' right, and let's talk about some case studies then, yeah, Karen. So today, Karen 就 join 咗我哋個 team 啦。咁我哋好難得，即係佢揀咗我哋間公司喺度做啦。So some of Karen's like strengths here is rental uplift. So obviously 你哋個租金越高咧，咁我哋個 percentage 都係會 proportionally 一齊會 grow together. So it's to 我哋嘅 benefit and to your benefit, yeah, that we increase this rent to the highest as possible. So Karen, there's this case here you told me about regarding you took a property from a landlord receiving £625 a month to 950.
Yes.
That's a bit of a jump there.
And it's genuine as well. It is real. So this was a landlord, he had a large portfolio and he was getting a good return, but I looked at the criteria of who he was renting to, which were low income single parent families. And I explained that, yes, you can get £625 for this property if you rent to this criteria. And he was getting referrals from the local council. I explained, now that the property's empty, you've done a bit of refurbishment, it looks great. I will find you a tenant, a working family, and I will get you £950 per calendar month. And I found it for him as well.
And like, so basically, was that due to just education and his knowledge around that area? He was renting out for 625, so he was inadequate, like just was not prepared, or
yeah, he was aiming at the wrong client base for what he really could have been. It was a good area, really popular with families, and he felt, oh, I'll take whatever I can get from the local authority to make sure it's let. And I explained, if you give me 5 to 10 days, let me advertise it, let me market it, I will market it a different client base, we can get so much more for it per calendar month. And he was really pleased.
And why were you so confident about bringing it from 625 to 950? Did you do your comparables, your research, your homework, your DD, like because it seems kind of the window from 600 to 900 why would an agent be that daring, say, look, I can take you from 600 to 900? That's a big jump there.
It is a big jump. I know the area really well. I'm from Sheffield. You may be able to tell from my accent, but I know Sheffield really well. And I knew the properties and the road it was on really well. It was close to schools, it was close to shops, really good transport links. And it had things like a drive, a shed, a garden, and it had refurb spent on it. And I was explaining to the landlords that actually the comparables for the area were £850. We could easily get that. Looking on Rightmove, speaking to neighbours, I knew that that's what the price was. But because the house was in such good condition and it was such a good area, I said, look, let's go for 950. We can try. What's the worst that can happen? But I said, I know I can get this for you. And I did. He had a lot of interested people in it.
So you increased it by £325. You increased its annual income by £3,900. Wow. So that really shows you need to know the area. You really need to know the people. And you could be a landlord, or you could use the agents that are very lazy, where, right, I'm not going to review it year by year because, well, that's the thing. Some landlords are scared to uplift the rent because maybe they have a very good tenant there that's always been given, like, on time payments. So but that's my theory. Don't touch them tenants. Keep them where they are.
Yeah.
But am I naive to say that? Am I like, because if I just keep them at 600, then it's
it is easy to keep them, and I do understand you don't want to lose the tenant. You don't want them to say, oh, you've increased my rent, and then I'm going to leave. In this circumstance, the tenant at 625 had left, so we did re-let at a higher amount. But in another circumstance of just increasing the rent each time, you do need to do it, because at the point of them wanting to leave, or at the point of them wanting to increase the rent, if they've had this never increased rent, it's going to be a real shock. But when they get into the cycle of, oh, every year it goes up by a small amount, then it makes them understand more that this is how it works in the UK.
So I should see as a business that every year there's inflation. I should tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
They should understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question, in fact, this is a customer's question here. All right, Karen. So the Renters' Right tells us that we are not allowed to market our property on an unreasonable price. What is a unreasonable price? So let's say we had a scenario in Doncaster, and we were dealing with that. And I remember the lady said, look, I've looked around on Rightmove and I'm paying you £730 now, but you want £750 from me. That is unreasonable. Pay me that extra £20. When is it unreasonable?
So you can set your price however you want. That's fine. If you wanted to rent your house out in Doncaster at £1,000 a month, even though no other property is £1,000, that is your prerogative. What you can't then do is say to tenants, actually, I want 1,200 off you every month before they've signed their tenancy agreement. That's what I think is coming across as unreasonable.
Okay, so let's say I moved into this house for £950. 6 months down the line, I'm talking to my neighbours and they're telling me they only pay £850. Then I'll come back to you, Karen. Karen, I know I'm paying £950 now, and I know I looked at the contract right at the beginning and I love the house, but I think it's very unfair how my neighbours are paying £850 and I'm still paying £950. I'm going to take you to court. I'm going to make a complaint. What do you do then?
Well, I say I understand, but there's not really much grounds to complain about, because they took the property at £950 when they signed the tenancy. We've not been unreasonable throughout their tenancy. We've made sure all repairs have been done, but really they understood the price they were paying when they first took it. If we were to then increase after 12 months to say 1,300, that would be an unreasonable increase.
Right. So if the next time after they're staying in there, and then after a year we increase it again, that's the trigger point. So would you say that 950 at that moment of time, and now it's still at the high end of the rental?
I'd still say it's at high end. And if we were to increase it, I'd probably only increase it by £5 a week or £5 a month. Just so that they didn't feel like they were being pushed out, but also they understood that every year it's going to increase.
Yeah, sure. I think we've ticked our box. We understand that we're not unreasonable. When you moved in, you looked at the contract, you agree that £950 is good, but just because after 6 months you realize, oh, the neighbors are paying cheaper, then right, yeah, I want to make a complaint. But does that complaint stand in court? No, because you looked at the contract right at the beginning. But after 12 months, if we constantly increase your rent and then it's not in the area surrounding, it's only with the same tenant right now, like rolling contract now, I increase it, then they can make a complaint. But if it's vacant again, then I can do it again, can't I?
You can do it again, yeah.
Right, okay.
So tenants can challenge rental increases. Now, they've always actually been able to do this, but as part of the Renters Reform Act, the government are really pushing this. Tenants can challenge a rent increase should they want to.
Yep, and correct me if I'm wrong, I understand to challenge for a rent increase, you actually have to pay as a tenant £47 to the council to file a application. This will exercise the mind. I might lose £50.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I want to do it? Because it's not free. You have to pay. So I would think twice to actually go and challenge that. So again, guys, as a landlord, if you know the law, you're in the winning side right now. Okay, so that is rent uplift, section 13 we'll call it, or whatever. Then this is the rent recovery. So what's this story all about?
So this is one of my case studies. I've worked with many different client bases, and I had a tenant in COVID who had accrued some arrears. He's quite a vulnerable tenant. And because it was COVID, we weren't able to evict at that time. At that point, he'd created £3,000 worth of arrears. Obviously, the landlord's not happy about this.
Did they lose their job or something?
Yeah, they lost their job, unfortunately. They weren't a well man anyway, and he lost his job. He was older than our regular clients. So he felt very vulnerable. I explained that from my social housing background, I was aware that we could claim for what's called a DHP, a discretionary housing payment for the government, sorry, the local authority, Barnsley Council, to pay his arrears off for him. And I supported him throughout that. So I ended up driving him to different places. I filled in forms for him. I did a lot of work that most agents wouldn't do, but I knew that we'd get this £3,000 recovered. So the landlord was very happy and the tenant was incredibly happy because he got to stay in his home.
Sure. And sorry, I might have missed it, but okay, so basically the story is in COVID, the tenants build up a £3,000 debt to the landlord. And what action did you take then? Like, as in sort of, did you I remember you saying that you showed this tenant how to apply for more grant, was it?
Yeah, we did have to serve Section 8 on him, as that was part of the process managing his arrears. Sorry, not serve Section 8, warn him that he could be served with Section 8 once the eviction criteria was abolished. We then showed him that he was eligible for grants due to his previous jobs. And I also showed him that he was eligible for a DHP due to him being on some sort of housing benefit at the time.
Yeah. So just to explain, so 其實英國咧有好多 grants，好多即係 housing benefits，其實俾啲老人家 as well 啦。不過呢個老人家係未 retire 嘅，佢係仲做緊嘢嘅。咁obviously 佢個 knowledge 係冇咁深啦，即係佢唔知道佢可以有呢啲咩 supported DHP claims or get more benefits from the Barnsley Council 呢度，同埋so Karen 就用咗佢個 social housing 嗰個knowledge 啦，就I remember you actually went to the house and got this person and took him to the council.
Yeah,
you literally
I
physically
drove it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
咁佢帶咗佢呢個 tenant 去咗個 council，然後攞咗即係幫佢去fill in 呢啲即係 housing benefit form 同埋 whatever grants 佢係he's allowed to have。其實 Karen 係 gone to the extra mile。咁佢第一就幫咗個 tenants，第二就係幫咗個 landlord 啦。So 佢係個 problem solver in the middle。Not a lot of agency will do that but 因為我哋間公司亦唔係一個 corporate 公司，同埋又唔係一間即係超級細公司啦。咁我哋係會有時間去做this extra mile for our clients。But again, it really depends on your personal character as well. Like if I was working in a big, massive corporate company, letting agency, would I actually do this?
No.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like if but yeah, thank you, Karen. Yeah, so you're helping people here, going that extra mile. So you recovered, you educated them, because a lot of people are just not educated enough to know what they're entitled to. Okay, so right, so that's the recovery of the £3,000 there. Right, so 我哋頭先講咗 rent arrears 同埋 evictions 啦，Section 8啦，我 bring 咗個 new team 入嚟啦，而家 including Karen，咁我哋而家個 internal team 咧，其實可以幫你做呢個 eviction service 咯，你唔使揾一個 solicitor，然後又要去再解釋俾佢聽。During that time。Then 3-4 hours 你去即係去嗰個 meeting，咁個 solicitor 已經係 charge 緊你呢個 price 㗎啦，就係 per hour，一個 retainer 一個 deposit。So Karen herself can actually do the full process of eviction. Do you want to just quickly go through this?
Yeah, so this is something I'm able to do. I manage a lot of tenant accounts, and I'm always watching the rents and arrears accruing and speaking to tenants. Sometimes tenants do want to pay their arrears, and sometimes they just don't. And this is what happens. So I am able to advise landlords that instead of sending it to a solicitor, we can keep this in-house. We can offer a full process with the PCOL claim, which is the claim to start the possession service. I can attend court on behalf of the landlord and on behalf of the EPI to claim that possession back, providing a full audit trail for the judge to ensure that we've given them the correct information. We've proved the tenant's not paid their rent. This is what we have done, and we'd like possession of the room back or the house back now.
Overall, Karen, I think just knowing the eviction service process, it will scare the tenants already. Because like a lot of the tenants like to, when they start arguing, they'd be like, they become a solicitor. Wow, well, when did you learn all the law? But then if you give, like, if they're debating with us and we show them we know the law, we know the process, it will make things a lot shorter, and we can get rid of the problem a lot quicker for you guys. So again, if we're not solicitors, we're not lawyers, but we know how to, and in the UK, you can actually do this yourself. Again, you can be a private landlord and do all this yourself, but do you have all the trail of documents? Do you have the backlog of all the emails, everything? I'm surely I don't keep all this, or I will have in my junk mail. Even for myself, for my own portfolio, I have a letting agent to look after it for me. Just literally, you need to be organized. And I think knowing the eviction service here puts us on another level compared to other letting agencies, because of the fact that the tenants won't really argue with you, right? Yeah, you want to take us to court? Yeah, take us to court. Just basically, you want to play that game, then we're going to give you a black mark on your next rental property. You probably have to pay all the court fees afterwards. We'll get the bailiff in to come in. You're going to be embarrassed on your road, bailiff knocking on your door. So that's the thing. We now can offer this eviction service. So if you've got any friends or yourself, you've got other properties that's not managed by us, got issues, give us a call. We'll sort this out for you. Okay. Right, so Karen, what do you bring to EPI apart from headache to me?
So I bring a lot. I do bring a lot. I do come in and I do have a lot of expectations, and this is why I work with you and why you want to work with me.
Yeah.
So I have many years in the housing industry. I've got a lot of knowledge with HMOs as well. I've managed my own HMO portfolio for a long time, as well as having a family portfolio. So I'm really confident with legal knowledge and compliance. And that's all been helped by having the qualifications with Arla Property Mark. I'm also bringing in that to EPI as well. So soon we will be Arla Property Mark accredited. And I'm really ready for the Renters Reform Act. This is something I've been watching for a long time. There's been a lot of scare stories, but really there's nothing to be scared of. I'm really clued up on it. So I bring a lot to you.
Yeah, don't be scared, guys. As Karen said, it's the news is kind of negative how they present it, but to us, it's just what we do every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we don't do this correctly every day, we will get a fine as a company. So we are on your side, Jen. So guys, don't worry about this. Right, for all of that, yeah, Karen, yeah, I am very lucky to have you, yeah.